Okay. Okay. Right. Let's start. First we do this, then we do that. I press that button, and it almost seems as if I can play. I can play sound. This doesn't work, but let's see if this works. No, no, no. I don't want this. No, no, no. Put right away. So I'm going to play a video because it's Friday. It's only 3 minutes. This isn't a funny video, but I do like it because in addition to computer science, I do like science. I think it's great. This is a cute video. It was made by combining videos of scientists who are saying normal things and then changing their voices to make it sound as if they are singing. It's a beautiful video. And you should listen to the words as well. But yeah, let's have a look. Just a little inspiring. It'll start in a second.
Science is the best tool ever devised for understanding how the world works. Science is a very useful knowledge. We are always on the brink of the known. Science is a collective force in the generation. We are those who compare the way. Seeing, proven also. If your scientific ruler, the world is very different. And that understanding empowers you.
There's real poetry in the real world. Science is the poetry of reality.
We can do science, and with it, we can improve our lives.
There's real poetry in the real world. Science is the poetry of reality.
The story of humans is a story of ideas that shine light into dark corners.
Science is love mysteries. We love not knowing. And don't feel frightened by not knowing things. I think it's much more interesting.
There's a larger universal reality of which we are all a part.
The further we go into the universe, the more remarkable are the discoveries we make.
The quest for the truth in and of itself is the story that's common in sights.
There's real poetry in the real world. Science is the poetry of reality.
We can do science, and with it, we can improve our lives.
There's real poetry in the real world. Science is the poetry of reality.
The story of humans is a story of ideas that shine light into dark corners.
Our only point in the cosmos, we have the power to fly.
Being able to peer back to a brief moment
After the beginning of the universe, with science changes the way your mind works. To think a little more deeply about things. Science places private prejudice, publicly verifiable evidence. There's real poetry in the real world. Science is the poetry of reality.
We can do science, and with it, we can improve our lives.
I love this stuff. I love these videos. I think I'm mostly fascinated by the fact that they can make people sing. So, and that's computer science. So that's great. Listen, let's see. What do we have to do? We have to talk about the for loop today. But I'm so sorry, YouTube. You didn't see any of that. But it's on YouTube. I'll put a link in the schedule. I'm so sorry, YouTube. You missed all of it. Okay, right. Let's just hope YouTube survives today. I don't want to show this, actually. I want to show you this. How was the tutorial yesterday? Easy peasy? Okay. All right. Who found it easy? Okay, excellent. So it wasn't, I mean, all we had to do was implement or practice a few if statements. I don't want to do all of these exercises. In fact, I don't think I want to do any of them. This is a little tricky because you had to kind of figure out how to actually do the calculation. What the formula is. It wasn't just given to you, but once you realize that you should calculate the distance between the centers compared to the radii, this problem is not that hard. Just that little if statement you had to write, basically. And now we also know how to read things from the command line to interact with the user. And in fact, we can now write, let's say, simple games where you ask the user for inputs and you respond, and you ask inputs and respond. So we'll be using that in the future. And then this UPC stuff I found fascinating. I do find it fascinating still. I don't know, I just like that. I just like Googling the internet for product codes. I know that's not supposed to be a fun thing to do, but I do like it. Anyways, right. So I'm not going to do these questions unless you explicitly ask me to. This one was a little tricky, extracting the digits. But we did speak about this at length when we talked about how to find how to break up the time into hours and minutes. In order to find the last digit, we last two digits we mod by 100. As in this last addition to evens. So that's the last two digits, and dividing that by 10 gives us the second last digit of UPC 3. I take UPC 3 and I divide 100, divide by 10. I'll give you the second last digit, which is also the 10th digit of the whole sequence. So that's not easy stuff, and it's a little tedious to type, but it's not really hard, I hope. And if it is hard, I hope you get used to it. I mean, really, this is combining two tricks we know. It's combining the trick about extracting digits and the if statement that we learned about on Monday. This week goes quickly because we're learning a lot of new statements, but we're basically done learning new statements, and everything we do from now on will just be something we've done before, maybe a little more advanced. Let's just finish up Wednesday. Allow me to finish up Wednesday. We were using this formula that they gave us to calculate the square root ourselves. Instead of calling math.square root, we can implement the square root idea ourselves. And this is basically the formula. All we do is we carry on until we found the square root. While you've not found the square root, you do that. You carry on with this loop. And every time I repeat it, I'm going to take the average of t and c over t. About 2, that's average. And that's my next guess will be. As I'm doing this, I'm slowly improving t. But I told you that this won't work because t and c are double numbers, and Java only stores approximations of double numbers. Most of the time, it's not an issue. I mean, if we look at the solution, not to this problem because that uses integers, but this uses, the overlapping circle uses doubles. But we just blindly calculate the distance. It may be off by a tiny, tiny amount, but it's okay. I mean, if we make a tiny mistake with saying when the circle overlaps and it doesn't, that's fine. It won't be a big issue. And most of the time, 99% of the time, this calculation is perfectly accurate and adequate. And the same for the rates question about telephone call costs. These numbers we're dealing with, these doubles, they're so large that tiny mistakes don't have any influence here whatsoever. There is no inputs that the user can supply to this program for which it will calculate an incorrect cost. So the values we give are all integers, but then the cost to calculate is a real number. And we see it in all its glory. I mean, if you have a look at this, clearly there's been a tiny mistake right at the end. But that 0.000001 of a cent doesn't make a difference. Here, however, it does make a difference because if we get this wrong, we get very close to the square root, but it's not exactly equal, then this is not going to stop. The y is going to carry on for a. That's when we write y, we have to be perfectly certain that it's going to stop. Yes. Okay, well that's an excellent question because that's a fun thing to think about. So how does the while work? It looks at the Boolean. If it's true and not equal, it means it's not yet found the square root and it will go inside. Execute all these statements one by one. So the first statement first and the second statement. It comes to the end of the while, and when it comes to the end of the while, it jumps back up. I'm going to actually repeat this while this is true. So while is for repetition. If this were if, I'd start off with my initial guess, which is the number I want to take the square root of. I'd say if my guess is not equal to that number, and it won't be, because we know it's actually t is actually equal to the number, so t times t is the square of the number, definitely not equal to the number unless c is equal to a number that is its own square, 1. So if c is equal to 1, this will be false, because they will be equal, and the while will never repeat. But that's fine because t is the 1 is the square root of 1. But almost for all other numbers, this will be false and the while will never repeat. Oh, sorry, yeah, this will be true and the while is supposed to repeat 1. But if this is an if statement, I have this statement which is false, sorry, true. The if will execute 1, so it will have 1 improvement to the guess. But when we get to this end of the if statement, so we're now saying that 1 is it. Get to the end of the if statement, we don't jump back up. We just carry on. So if statement is for making a choice between two actions. In this case, this action and there's no else, so the end action. We make that choice once, and then we're done with it. So it carries on below the statement. Y is for repeating a choice over and over and over until my condition becomes false. This won't work because doubles are approximate. So I have to introduce a little more mathematics. I'm introducing this number, which I call x, which is short for epsilon. We use that mathematics to denote a tiny, tiny number. Is this thing on? Yes, good. X is a tiny, tiny number, and everything else is normal except for this condition. This condition is also a little different. So instead of checking the difference between t squared and c, I'm actually looking at the difference between t and c over 2. It's the same thing. If t is the square root of c, then c divided by the square root is again the square root. And I'm subtracting that from the square root. So I expect this thing to become 0 when t is the square root of 2. I could have written T times T minus C, but as it turns out, this is just a tiny bit more accurate when we are dealing with the doubles, it's an approximation. T times T is a biggish number, and when the number is bigger, the mistakes, the approximation can be worse. So I prefer to keep that at T, and rather divide C by T. It will give you two small English numbers. If C were 2, let's say C is 4, then instead of comparing 2 times 2, which is 4 minus 4, I'm subtracting two largest numbers. I'd rather subtract 2 and 4 over 2, which is also 2. Now I'm confusing you, I'm confusing myself as well. So I take the absolute difference between those two values, and if t is the square root, this should be 0. And I'm going to repeat while it's still bigger than my error tolerance, it's epsilon, it's tiny value. So I keep on doing this while there is a difference that's bigger than epsilon. As it turns out, I multiply epsilon by t, because if t is humongous, then I'm prepared to tolerate a little bit more. So the bigger t is, the bigger I'm prepared to tolerate. So this is just scaling my epsilon up a little bit. That sounds really important. I could have done it in a more naive way. But the rest of the program is exactly the same. It's only my condition testing that's been adjusted. The big thing is I've introduced this epsilon so that I'm not asking the program to calculate two values that are exactly equal. I'm prepared to tolerate a small, tiny error. How does this whole thing work? I mean, where does this formula come from? You learn about it in mathematics, but it's called the Newton-Raphson method. And this is not a course in mathematics, but it's important for us to understand what we are implementing, because if we understand it, we can use it for other things. So in this case, I want to find the root of some polynomial or any function, not a polynomial, any function. I want to know whether it's 0. And in the case of my square root finding routine, the function I'm looking for the root of is x squared minus c. Because when x squared minus c is 0, then x squared is equal to c, and x is equal to the square root of c. So I have to do a little bit of jangling to get the function in the right form. But any sophisticated function I want to compute, I can do like this. If I want to find the value where sine curve hits the x-axis, even though it has many roots, I can find one of them by just making f of x equal to sine. Okay, now comes the tricky part where you may not know this mathematics yet, but some of you do, but some of you may not. I just start with any guess. I guess a number like ti. It's not going to be 0. It's not going to be the root I'm looking for, but it's some guess that I make. I'll do it on the screen here. So I'm guessing that the answer is ti. And what I do is I calculate the tangent of the function at this point using derivatives. If you haven't done this in maths, it's coming soon. And I check where this derivative hits the x-axis. And that'll be my next guess. So now I've got a better guess, ti plus 1. And I do the same thing. I check where on the function at x coordinate ti plus 1, what is the tangent and where does that tangent line hit the x-axis? So I keep on doing this until I get closer and closer to the root. And this works for most functions, almost all functions. Of course, they have to be derivable because I need this tangent line. I need to calculate the derivative. We're not going to do the maths behind this, but you learn about this in other courses, I hope. Oh, no, that's nothing. Don't it's a slip of my finger. Right. Where does this method come from? Who was Newton? Father of what? Physics. Here, a little. Newton's definitely important in physics, but he's even more important to us in mathematics because he invented calculus. That's what your life is about now, I guess, in mathematics. It's all calculus, I hope. So Newton's really important. He made many contributions. Experiments with lights, experiments in physics, Newton's laws of motion. and lots of stuff in mathematics as well. However, the other guy, Rafson, is even more interesting. Here's a picture of Rafson. Okay. We know almost nothing of this guy, and he invented this method of finding the Newton method and the Rafson method. He invented it 50 years before Newton. So Newton didn't really invent calculus. He didn't start from scratch. I know he's a big genius and all that, but he was also quite a loony. And he didn't just invent calculus out of thin air. Gravity is, laws of motion is. Calculus was based on the work that his predecessors did at Cambridge. And 50 years before him, this guy invented this method of finding a root of a function. And actually this Joseph Rafson, who we know almost nothing about, not even what he looked like, his method was actually simpler, and it's the one we use today. Newton's method was more complicated. Right, so that's Newton-Rafson, and that's the whole of the while loop. So now we can move on to the next topic, which is the for loop. Just another loop, and you're going to see it looks almost exactly like the while loop, but it's really convenient. We use it a lot because it is a little more succinct than a while loop. Let's just get the while loop. Let's just go back all the way. I think I can do this. Let's just go back all the way to here. So just let's remind ourselves. The while loop, this was the syntax, and we have to follow it exactly. And this is what happens. We start at the while loop, we check the Boolean condition, and if it's true, we go inside, do the statements, at the end we jump back up. And we repeat this loop until that expression, that condition is false, and then we stop, exit the while loop. Now the for loop is exactly the same thing, just with two small parts added to make our lives easier. The added parts are that we can specify an initialization piece of code that will happen just before the very first time the for loop is executed. Then we still have the Boolean, we still have the statements inside, but at the end of the statements, the for loop also adds an increment piece of code that will execute every time that's done. So at the end of the for loop, it doesn't just jump back up. It first does this increment step, and then it jumps back up to check the condition again. So the inner code is only executed once, but the increment code is executed many times. And if we look at the syntax, so instead of while, instead of while, we have a for at the front. That's the keyword. And then we have three parts inside the parentheses. Open parentheses, initialization, semicolon, the Boolean expression just as in the while loop, semicolon, and the increment. We close the parentheses, no semicolon, we put a brace, and the insides go here. So let's just look at a little example. Oh no, let's not. Let's just complete our cheat sheet. Okay. We still only have 5 statements. The for loop is really just an abbreviation for the while loop, a little more succinct. You'll see that in a second. So we're not going to add a 6th statement. Gesundheit. Right. So let's translate one while loop to a for loop. You've seen this while loop before. We had it Wednesday. I starts at 0 and B starts at 1. And then while I is less than or equal to some n, specified declared before, we're going to print v, which is 1, increment I, add 1 to I, and multiply v by 2. So every time this while loop executes up to n, we are going to double v each time. So what we get is the powers of 2. So the program is going to print the powers of 2. So let's see how we're going to do this with the for loop. Well, this I mentioned just in passing last time. The I is called the control variable. It controls when the while loop will stop. And usually we put the control variable in the for loop. So we write this. I'm going to turn on here. Let's see if I can. Can I highlight part? Yeah, I can. So this was the initialization of the I variable, which I'm now moving down here. So in the initialization, I can actually put it's not only assignments. I can write anything I want. It's not only assignments. I can also declare variables in here. So that's my initialization. That's moving from before the while loop to the top of the for loop. Then I have a Boolean condition I less than equal to n, which is exactly the same as my while loop. And then this step where I incremented I is moving in here in the for loop. So I've got init, which declares I and sets it to 0. I've got my Boolean condition, which is still the same. I'm going to carry on until this is true, and I'll do my increment here. Yes?
Do you have to declare the variable or the integers you use in the loop?
Of course. Of course. If I don't, how will Java know what they are?
But if you like declare in
Oh, well, I did. I mean, here I did V. I declared V before I started the for loop. And it, say again?
you talk about I.
Yeah, I know, but he said variables. So, well, you have to declare them at some point, but they don't have to be in here. You can write anything you want. But you can't use a variable that you haven't declared, and you can declare a variable in this for loop initialization. Okay, you'll see lots of examples. You'll be happier soon. So I put my increment here. Are you semi-happy with that question? Answer. Let's hold off. Okay, and my increment step, which used to be inside the while loop, I now put in here, and so it's not inside the while loop anymore. Inside, all that remains is I print V. So I'm still printing the powers of 2, and I still double V, because if I don't, I'm going to print 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 all the time. So the for loop is really just almost a pure abbreviation for the while loop. That's not perfectly true. There are tiny differences, but we'll get to them, I don't know, in 5 years' time. Okay. So the for loop is definitely shorter. I mean, the while loop had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines, and the for loop is only 5 lines. So I saved 5 lines by putting the initialization and the increment all in the one line together with the for loop. But I think I can do better, because I can see that there's still a bit of initialization at the top of the for loop. So I'm going to put that inside as well. It's at my heart. It's much faster than that. I'm excited about it. Okay, hang on. Let me just change my batteries. Oh. Okay, don't want to cause an electrical fire. There we go. Back online without the heartbeat. See if I can go. Beautiful. Right, so I can put the V I can initialize the V and the I at the start of the while loop. Hang on. Oh, good. One more sec. So that thing can charge. Good. I've moved the declaration of V equals 1. That declaration, when I say tell Java I want a variable called V, needs to be int. I've moved that inside the for loop. So now the initialization part of the for loop says I want an int called I that is equal to 0, comma, I want an int called V that's equal to 1. Yes?
Should you have written int for the V, or does it still take from that first step?
No, because, man, I was afraid someone's going to mention that. So, let's see here. Slides. What slides should we? Do you want to look at my first program? I've done this before. No, I haven't. Let's just go here. So I've done this before. When I declare a variable, I can declare more than one. I put in a comma in between. So that's what I'm doing in the for loop. This is just like we did right way back in the start. I'm just saying that I want two variables, one I and one v, and I also give the initial value. So I've reduced my number of lines by 1, and I'm now at 4 lines. But I can do even better, because this doubling of v is in essence an increment step. I'm updating my v, which is not really a control variable, but I can think of it as one. I can put the v increment at the back here as well. So at the end of the for loop, inside it does a print line, and then at the end it increments I, adds 1 to I, and it doubles v. So down to 3 lines. Now, can I put the system.out print line in this line as well instead of empty for loop? Well, we can't do that for various reasons, but more importantly, we don't want to do that, because in some sense, this is the work that the for loop is doing. And this increments, this initialization, this Boolean, that's somehow controlling the for loop. In fact, now that I think about it, I feel bad even about putting v inside the for loop. But this is just an example. Okay. It's not wrong. Let's have a little looky at this. I want to make this for loop a little shorter. I don't really. Longer code is actually better sometimes because it gives you more to read. If I can compress this for loop down to 5 characters, just cryptic characters, which I can do in some languages, you won't be happy because you won't understand what I'm writing. It will take you a long time to decrypt all that information that I've compacted. So long code is not necessarily bad. Long code can be better if it's clearer. Of course, for some people, for most people, for me at least, it's easier to see a short piece of code than to have to read down the whole page for a routine. So it's a balance between writing clear code and writing succinct code. But let's say I do want to shorten that I equals I plus 1 at the end. Something you'll see over and over again, because it's somehow a pattern that we use with for loops a lot, is that I will use a different operator. Instead of saying I becomes I plus 1, I'll use what is called a post-increment operator, which I write like that. So, is there a stick in this? I love sticks, but there's no stick here, is there? I guess a laser pointer. Oh, there's tubing. But okay, fine. So, I write I plus plus. The plus plus is not, it is 2 plus signs, of course, it's 2 plus characters, but really, together, they combine to make what is called a post-increment operator. Post, because it comes after the I, and increment, because it adds 1. So it's a post-increment operator, it'll make, it's exactly the same effect as I becomes I plus 1. It has the same effect as I becomes I plus 1. And there's also a post-decrement operator, I minus minus, which has exactly the same effect as subtracting 1 from I, decrementing I by 1. So these are 2 new operators, but they're not 2 new statements. They're kind of like shortcut assignment statements. In fact, there are other shortcut assignment statements. If we look at this more compact for loop, so we know we can replace I becomes I plus 1 by I plus plus, but we can also replace V becomes 2 times V by a shortcut assignment operator. Well, actually, both. Well, I did both of them in this example. This is a shortcut operator that adds 1 to I. It's an alternative to I plus plus. An alternative to I becomes I plus 1. And this is a shortcut operator that will multiply V by 2. For almost any operator in Java, there is such a shortcut. So I can write, let me do it here. I can write V plus equals D. And what that means is that V, it's the same as writing V becomes V plus D. Instead of having to repeat the V, if you're this lazy, you can put the plus just in front of the assignment operator and just put D. So B is incremented by D, or B is decremented by D, or B is multiplied by a factor of D. So B becomes B times D. Or B is divided by a factor of D. B becomes B divided by D. Or even modulo. Even do modulo. So these are shortcuts. I don't like using them much myself because it doesn't save much. When you later want to change this expression, change this formula for V, then you can sometimes forget that, oh, I put a plus in front of my assignment, and then you get confused, you write the wrong formula. So I don't write them myself, but you must know about them because you'll see them in people's code. Many people do use them. They are quite common. They're not strange things that nobody uses. So you do want to know about them. So if we look at the cheat sheet, we now have not more statements, but a few variations. So we know the for is an abbreviation for while, and in addition to assignment, we can also change the contents of a variable by using either a post, increment, or decrement operator, or one of these shortcut assignments. Okay, you've all read this stuff in a book, so I'll hurry up a little bit. What's next? Oh, scope of variables. We have to talk about the scope of variable. Something we haven't talked about before, but we actually have seen. This course is sneaky in that way because I'm always showing you stuff that I hope you don't notice and that I don't explain, but a few days later I will explain it. Will this code work? Any issue with this code? Nobody can find an issue, I hope. I think this will work correctly. So let's just see what it does while we know. That top part is exactly the code from before. It turns out the powers of 2, B, is double each time. It does this n times. And then this while loop terminates. And right at the end, it prints the value of I after the while loop. So that'll be, well, 1 bigger than n. Because while it's still smaller than or equal to n, the while loop will repeat. I is made 1 more each time. But as soon as I goes over n, the while loop will stop. This condition will no longer be true. And then it'll jump down here. So I is definitely equal to n plus 1. Plus the colon, character string, colon space. And then V will be equal to the next power of 2. And this code will work perfectly. So let's change this to a for loop. You can verify it's exactly the same thing. I move the initialization of I into the top of the for loop because we always have to write init, Boolean expression increment. I move this I becomes I plus 1 to the end here, and V still doubled inside, and I still print V, and at the end I still print I and V. When I try to run this code, it won't even compile. It's not that it'll give the wrong answer, but it won't compile. Java will say, error, can't find symbol, and it's pointing to the I right at the end. It says symbol variable I. It doesn't know what I is. How is this possible? Because I declared I in the for loop. This has to do with what is called the scope of a variable. It is where the variable is visible. So when I declare a variable up here in the inner part of the for loop, that variable is only for the for loop. Java creates a box that can store an integer, and it puts inside the box whatever I tell it to. And if I increment I, it will change the box, all that. But as soon as the for loop is over, as soon as it reaches this final statement and the condition, this condition is no longer true, the for loop is done and it carries on. Before it carries on, it throws away the I box. The scope of the I box is only this for loop, and when we're done with the scope, it throws away the I box and any other box that I declared inside the for loop. Even if I declared something inside here, not in the inner, but down here, after V becomes V2 times V, I can say W equals 5, let's say. W won't exist outside the for loop. If if it's declared inside the braces of the for loop or the initialization statement, it's thrown away when the for loop ends. So this I does not exist when Java reaches the statement. V still exists because V was declared outside the for loop. V will live until it gets to the end brace of main. And then V will also disappear. But as long as I'm in the program, I can use V in this case. Right here. We'll learn more about scope. We'll get back to it. Let's do a quick quizzy quiz. Now, in theory of teaching, they tell you not to click on students. I'm going to do exactly that. Okay? It's easy peasy. Don't be scared, won't be hurt. We'll just do the front row. You want to start from this side or the other side? Okay, let's start from the other side. Or the other side. Let's start on the other side. I like unsuspecting victims. I'm like a rhinoceros. Nicole. Are you from Gauteng? Eastern Cape. Oh, you've got strange accent. Okay, cool. Right. Nicole. What will the statement print? Tell us. Tell us, Nicole. Tell us. Good mic. It will print 0, I don't know. Okay. Let's just see. I becomes 0. Happy. And right at the top of the slide it says n is equal to 6. So is 0 less than 6? Yes, it will print go inside and print 0. Good. And then gets to the end of the for loop, jumps back. Oh no, it doesn't jump back up. With the for loop, it first does the increment before it jumps up, doesn't it? Yes. So I becomes 1. The 2 plus I becomes 1. That's the way that I'm going to work. So I is now 1. Is 1 less than n? So it goes inside the increment 1. Do the increment, I is now 2. Get to the n, jump back up. Is 2 less than 6? Yes. Go inside, print 2. That's right. Do the increment, jump back up, and till 6. Yes. What's the last time we do it? Are you sure? So let's say I is 5. Is 5 less than 6? Yes. Go inside, print the 5, do the increment, we print the 5. Just remember that. Remember your roles. Okay? I becomes 1. Sorry, I don't become 1. Increment 5 and 6. Is 6 less than 6? No, so 1 go inside, 1 be printed to 6. So Nicole is absolutely correct. We'll print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even though she didn't say those words. What she said was 0, I don't know. But don't forgive, well, do what you want. Okay, right. So that's right. Right, next victim. Oh no, next challenge. It's going slower than I thought. Nicole is slow. Right, next person. 9.
John Ray.
Let's run. Say again? 0 to 6. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to those for loops. I can tell it. I can get a good sense of that for loop knowledge. Oh, yeah, well, never mind. Okay, right, we have to hurry up. Next victim. 9. Tony. Okay, excellent. Tony. Let's have a little look at these. Firstly, what's the difference between this one and the previous one? Okay, so what remember? Excellent. Okay, so you guys, I'm just going to skip ahead. These things are just easy. I can tell that you can tell all of these. Next victim. Name, summer. What will it print, Dale? Come on, Dale, I've got 5 more slides like these. From 6 to 0. Will it print the 6? It'll print the 5.
6.
Now you say 6. 6 and 1 is the last, you say. Is Dale correct? Is that what you said? Yes, it is. Okay, excellent. Right, next victim. What? Oh, just the one. Okay. One. First number in the front. Last number in the front. Are you sure? No. Not sure. You go for 1. Okay. So I'm really happy that either you can all program or you've all read the assignment. Next victim. Josh. Okay, right. Answer. For YouTube, Josh is rumbling under his breath, not important.
5, 1, 3, and 5.
Okay, I have no idea. What about 6?
But it's less than n, not less than n.
Okay, what if I change it?
But it's still rotating into 2.
Okay, so it's going to jump over the 6. Okay, right. There's one more on the slide, but I want to ask the next person because I want to make a tiny little announcement, and that is that if I'm correct, Jenny didn't do the study groups in the start yesterday. Did they? Okay, right. So if you want to join the study group next week, please come to me. The idea is that it's for extra help, and if you feel you're doing fine, you can miss it. It's not compulsory. If you want at least an hour of extra help, please come talk to me now. But otherwise, I'll see you on Monday. Okay. Thanks, guys.